Hi everybody, this is Martin with Mape Electric. How's everybody doing today? So we're live and we have questions for you for today for all the electrical contractors and for the business people. So yesterday I attended, it was called a Cumbre Financiera, a financial summit with 4 different banks. And what everybody basically was saying is that if you want to get a loan with them, your finances have to be like, you have to show them profit. So I was thinking it's a little confusing, because if the main reason why you need a loan is because you don't have profits and you want to help your business succeed, right? That will be one of the reasons. But basically they want to see profit, and then they can lend you the money. So there was some different options on getting some money from them. So but the main thing is, like, the main message that I got from them is the best time to get a loan for a business is when you don't need it. So if you have the money right now to start your own business, it will be a good moment to get a loan and not investing your own money. So that's why I come up with this question, and I want to learn from my different colleagues, my different electricians, and this could be a good live. This could be good for different people, not only for contractors or from guys that want to start their own electrical company or plumbing company. It could be good for everybody that wants to open a small shop, a small coffee shop, or a restaurant, or a clothing store, or something, right? So I have some guys, especially some of the top guys in the electrical industry, that they say they will probably join. So I want to learn from them and see what how they did it, and if it worked, and if they will do it again. Because sometimes I think that maybe if I will have to do it again, I will probably do something different now that I learn. Because sometimes we put all our money, we put all our savings and invest it on the business. And sometimes it's a lot of things from being on the trade. You know how to do the job, but you don't know the administration. You don't know that you have to, like, work a lot of office. You have to work on a website. You have to do marketing. You have to do a lot of things. And sometimes when we have the dream of learning, or we have the dream of starting our own business, we don't have those things into consideration. We just want to go for it, and we think that everything is going to be beautiful and we're going to get a lot of customers and everything. Because when it gets slow, it's like, oh man, what I'm gonna do? It happened to me at some point.
I,
Hi Steve, thank you for joining us.
my pleasure. I wouldn't miss
So
this for the world.
thank you. So I was telling our friends that when I was doing my business, I started with my own savings. I put everything into the business, and then when the business slowed down at some point, I was like, I'm gonna try to get a loan to support my business, to help me with my marketing and all that stuff. But when I tried to get a loan, I couldn't get it. It was really bad.
Nope.
So and you're desperate, but I mean, we are here. We're doing good, but yeah. So I'm thinking, if our friends have the money to start their business, just get a loan. What do you think, Steve? How you did it? What was your experience? And would you do it again? Did you took some loans, or did your family help you to start your business? How you did it?
Okay. Well, I want to show, I never showed you this before, Martin, but
Okay.
this was the most important step for me. For me. Okay. This is my copy of my license.
Okay.
Um,
Wow, it's a big one.
It's a, it's a big one.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed, we're supposed to, in this county, we're supposed to hang it outside the business.
Oh,
This is
wow.
called the shingle. The shingle.
Okay. Wow.
All right. So that was the first step in, you know, thinking about maybe opening up my own business, getting my master's license. So when I did that, I was still working for somebody else, and I we were gonna go partners,
Okay.
but things didn't work out. It wasn't anything. It wasn't his fault at all. It was just that I wanted to move in a different direction because I like teaching. I really enjoyed that. And but when I did open up the business, I had to make a decision. Do I use all of my savings,
Okay.
and then maybe have no money in the bank? And they said, no, that's kind of scary. I need to have a backup,
It is.
plan. Because when you first start the business, you have to incorporate, you have to get the insurance, right? And you got to get your van, you got to buy materials. So you're probably going to spend about $10,000 to $20,000 right away,
Right away on
in
the business.
the first month, and still no money's coming in, right, at this
Yeah.
point. So now you're getting nervous about what to do. So what I did, this is just me. And
Okay.
before I do that, the thing you said about the banks, when you need to borrow the money, the banks say no, we're not going to lend you the
Yeah.
money, right?
Exactly.
Right? When you don't need the money, they're like, oh, how much money do you need?
Yeah,
How much?
exactly.
You need 20, 30, 40, $50,000. No problem.
And they'll give
You know,
them to you.
like it's the same thing, with my wife. I come home, I'm not hungry, she's making dinner,
Yeah,
right? And I have to eat. When I
of
come home, I
course.
say, oh, what's for dinner? She goes, well, I'm tired. You make dinner tonight. Okay. So the same thing. So what I did, and I had the same experience with the banks. They're not going to lend you money. You're just opening up the business. You have no profits, right? They say,
Yes.
well, okay, you got your license. Okay, good for you. So what I did, I went out and I got the JetBlue credit card.
Okay.
And why did I get the JetBlue credit card? Because everything that I spent on the JetBlue credit card, I was getting the points so that I could travel. I could go to different places.
Okay.
Okay. And when I saw you in Burbank, I used my JetBlue points
Okay.
for that trip, to
Okay.
go out there. I mean, I had to pay extra other monies too,
Sure.
but the JetBlue card with all my points, it basically paid for, most of my travel.
Okay.
So the other thing, when you're about to, when you want to start your business, I suggest that you try to have at least 3 months of money in the bank.
Okay.
So if let's say your mortgage and your car payments and everything else come out to be $5,000 a month, you should have at least $15,000 in the bank. 3 months minimum,
3 months.
no
Okay.
less than 3 months. You should even do 6 months.
Okay.
But when you're about to go into business, you have an idea if you have any customers already, right?
Yes,
And when you get the license, if you're going to go working for yourself, you're going to have some work. So
for sure.
now, now when I started putting all of these expenses on my credit card, now I had 30 days to use the credit card money, but
Okay.
I still had the money in the bank. So here's what I did. If the money wasn't coming in fast enough, okay, I had to make the minimum payment on the credit card. I
Okay.
was using the credit card's money, and a lot of these credit cards you can get interest free for the first 12 months. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm using the interest free portion of the credit cards.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I got to spend $10,000, $15,000. I got to buy the van. I'm going to buy a used van. I'm not going to buy a new van. I'm not going to spend $50,000, $60,000, to buy a new van. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Um, buy the tools that I need, buy a good supply of inventory, and I put everything on the credit card.
Okay.
Now, but you got to have good credit to do that.
Yes.
Now, if you don't have good credit, maybe you have somebody in your family that they have good credit and they can co-sign on the credit cards for you.
Okay.
Okay. And because you're doing this for the business, this is now business expense. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say the first month you've got now $10,000 of credit card bills that you have to pay, but the minimum payment is, let's say, $500. Okay, no problem. I still got $15,000 in the bank. I'm going to take 500 now to make that credit card payment. So now I have
Okay.
14,500 in the bank, and still maybe I have some more credit left over that I can now buy inventory, and buy the things that I need. And we also need other things too. We need to buy our electrical books, right?
Yes.
So we got our code book. This is not cheap,
Yeah.
right? This is, if you buy the hardcover book, it's over $200. Then if you sign up for my classes, you're going to be buying these books. That's not cheap either.
No cheap. No,
Not
no.
cheap. So everything's money, right?
Yeah.
And so by doing that with your credit cards and with the money in the bank, maybe the 3 months of cash is going to
Okay.
maybe give you 6 months now of life. Okay.
Okay.
And if you cannot make it in 6 months, there was probably something wrong with your business plan.
Quick. Quick.
No, no, because you're not going to rent the warehouse, right? You're going to do it from your house,
Yeah.
right? You're going to keep all the supplies in your van. And if you have an apartment, you're probably going to make a whole bedroom into your warehouse, right? All of your tools, supplies are going to be inside your apartment. You just have to make sure the neighbors don't see you carrying all the ladders and all the supplies out of
Yeah.
your apartment because they
So,
might get upset.
was there any expense that you didn't see when you were thinking about starting your business, that when you were already in, like, oh, I was not expecting this expense. Was there something like that?
Yeah, the biggest problem is I took jobs
Okay.
where I needed to collect a down payment, for the job.
Yes.
And a lot of times the down payment wasn't enough money to buy the materials. And sometimes I took some pretty big jobs. We did, big houses, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 square foot houses. And I was afraid to ask for a lot of down payments, so that
Yes.
I could buy things. So I said, okay, I'm gonna, and every state is different. You have to look at the laws in your state. But what I tried to do is when I signed up, let's say a $10,000 contract, I would say, okay, I want 25% down when we sign the contracts. So I got $2,500,
Okay.
and sometimes that wasn't enough, to buy the materials. So that was the big problem. So I had my credit cards now, and I tried to use my credit cards to buy all my materials.
Okay.
That was the thing. And a user here,
Mi-
somebody,
Milo is saying that
Alice,
the legal fees.
how do
Yeah,
you
for
pronounce
sure,
that?
Milo.
Is that Amelis Guide? I can't pronounce that.
Olin's guide, but it's
Oh,
Milo. Milo, you can jump in if you like. We will love to hear your experience and learn from you
Oh,
too, for sure.
and then the young electrician, he's saying wanting to take jobs and not having the money to cover the expenses stinks.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
exactly.
So that was the big problem that I had, and it got worse
Okay.
when I hired employees. It got a lot
Mm-hmm.
worse. Now, now I have to have money for the employees,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, oh my God, I have no money in the bank. Like, what do I do? So every week it was a cash flow issue, every single week. But I think if somebody's starting out, you got to have the courage. You know, listen, there's a lot of people that get their journeyman's license and they get their master's licenses. Some people are great electricians. Like I talk to them, they know the code,
Yes.
right? And I talk to other ones and they don't know the code, but they're licensed. I don't know how they got licensed. They just
Mm-hmm.
don't know the code. So the scary thing is when you're taking a job, and Martine, you're in my class, you know, you're taking a job and you're not sure about something, and you go and you do the work, and then you find out that the inspector has failed you for something, and it might cost you $5,000 or $10,000 to fix it. That's a big problem, and you got to fix it. Will is watching the live stream. Hey,
Hi,
Will,
Will.
how are you?
Are you gonna jump in or what?
So
So,
by having those credit cards, and for me it was the JetBlue credit card. I had the points, so I'm able to travel,
mm-hmm.
and I was able to keep my cash in the bank
Okay.
because
So will you say then you will say that go for a loan, it will be a good idea or not?
no, they're not going to give you the loan.
Or use your credit card.
They're not going the bank's not going to give you the loan
Use a
when you're
credit card
starting out as a new
to start a
business.
business?
Yeah. So my suggestion is the easiest thing to do: get yourself a couple of credit cards with no
Okay.
points. No points.
Okay.
Okay. And when you get these credit cards with no points, I mean no interest, no interest,
Mm-hmm.
right? You might want to get one the first month, make sure you're making your payments. Then the next month you get another one with no interest, right?
Okay.
And then you might have two or three credit cards with no interest, maybe 12 or 18 months or 24 months.
Okay.
Now you're using the credit card money with no interest to help finance your business,
Okay.
right?
That's a good idea, Steve. Very important for everybody that is looking at this channel that we're just talking about what people did, and we're not like their advisors. They have to look into their own situation and figure it out with the financial advisor. This is yours, our experiences and our ideas on what to or what will be the best way to do it, right?
Right.
So that way
And
I don't get the blame if they say,
no,
"Hey,
no,
you say something." No, no.
no, you know
We're
what?
just talking about our experiences
And also
and how we
depends on
did it.
your situation. My wife is very understanding. When I told her I wanted, you know, I sort of slowed down my electrical work a lot when I was studying for my exams. So money was not coming in.
Hmm.
In the mean,
I've been there too.
in the meantime, you know, I studied for my master's. I passed it the first try. Then I became an electrical inspector. There were three exams that I took. One was the general. I'm a general inspector. I'm also one and two family inspector. I'm also a plans review inspector. And those electrical inspector exams were very difficult compared to the master's exam was actually easy. And I passed each of them the first try because I said to my wife, I need to stay home as much as possible for 1 year
Hmm.
so I can study for these exams. So
Wow.
I had enough money in the bank
Okay.
basically for almost a year. I
Wow.
saved. Yeah. We saved a lot of money.
Hmm.
And I said, okay, I'm gonna give this a year. This is now 5 years ago that this happened. Maybe 6 years ago. And when I started my school, I had 0 students. I had no money coming in. So I had to experiment. I bought computers, I bought video equipment, sound equipment. I went into Manhattan to B&H Photo. If you ever come to Manhattan, go check out B&H Photo. It's a great place. So in a short period of time, I spent about $15,000 on computers and video equipment,
Wow.
recording equipment, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Hmm.
Then I paid people, consultants, to help me, and they messed everything up. They really messed everything up, and it got to the point that I was depending on other people for the website, for my marketing. So every month I was spending a couple of $1,000s.
Wow.
So once you make that decision to go into business for yourself, you got to keep those expenses as low as possible. Now, that means you have to be the bookkeeper.
Yep.
You have to go buy the materials for the job, right?
We
You
have to
have
be
to
that everything,
you
Steve.
got to go, you got to do the estimates, you got to do the jobs, you got
Hmm.
to buy more materials,
Yeah.
right? And you're on the ladder, and then somebody's calling you on your cell phone. Yeah, okay, I'll be there in 2 hours. Okay, I'll be there, right? And then,
Yep.
like, oh, and then you have to work late, and then now the other customer is angry with you.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
my best advice, if I had to do this all over again, and I'm very grateful that now the business is starting to make money, but it took 5 years, to do it.
It
Um,
does.
don't count on other people. Don't hire outside consultants. Learn how to do everything yourself.
Okay.
Okay,
So that
because
way they will be saving money.
right, because in the beginning, and I know Will's listening to this. I know he's going crazy now about buying back the time. He's probably laughing right now. Um, but you have to be everything in your business,
Yeah.
right? And I know the bookkeeping sucks. I don't like it. Um, estimating, I got to do that, right? I got to
Yes.
go do the jobs. I got to go run. I got to answer the phone call. All these crazy people calling me. I got to talk to the electrical inspectors. I got to call the electrical utility companies. I got to get the permits. I got to go to the building department. And maybe I only have 3 hours a day to work on the job. And then 5 hours, I'm dealing with all of the nonsense, right?
Yeah,
With everything else. But
for
if you
sure.
keep your expenses low as possible for that first year, you could say, okay, I'm still open for business. Okay, congratulations. And I still have some money in the bank. Now, you say, okay, what can I do now? And Will, if you want to step in now to start buying back the time, this would be perfect. Now you have to ask yourself, how can I buy back some of my time? What can I outsource? Now, some people might think maybe I'm going to hire an employee, but there's a problem with that, right? We got to get workers' comp insurance.
Yes.
That's not cheap, right? We got to get, our disability insurance. And I'm trying to read some of the comments here.
Yeah, you
Um,
can go ahead.
uh,
It's
you let's see
Milo.
what's Milo saying.
If you're scaling and thinking big, you need to be aware that being flexible is key. You can't do it all when you scale up. Yeah, that's true.
That's a great comment.
Yeah. Lalo,
Ooh,
thank you, Lalo. We were thinking about doing this live and then he back out. He's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. But hey,
and
Lalo, you're welcome. You're welcome to join, Lalo, and tell us your experience too. So that way we're learning from each other and helping each other out. I mean, what you can maybe your experience can help someone else for sure. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's see. Okay, accept. Let me see.
I think other people have requested. You have to hit that little plus button on your
Okay, let
phone.
me see. Let's
There he
see.
is.
Hi, Will.
There's
Uh,
Will.
How's everything
let me
looking?
see. Milo, I'm trying to add Milo. See.
How many people can we
There
add?
we
Okay, there's Milo.
go. Oh yeah, that's a good
Hi,
looking bunch.
Milo.
Hi, Milo.
Here we go. Hey, ¿cómo están?
Thank you for coming
So
in. Hi, Will.
All right.
I love that.
So, so let me just finish what I was saying, and then we'll let the other masters take over.
Okay, go for it.
So you got to keep it tight in your first year, right? Because you got to prove the concept. Do I have a business here, right? So if you can keep it tight, then you say, okay, what's the first thing that I can outsource to buy back my time? Now, if
Okay.
you hire an employee, I'm gonna use an example of a bookkeeper, right? Now, you got to do payroll and you got to get workers' comp insurance and all this other nonsense. My suggestion is outsource to people that are third-party contractors. You can find a bookkeeper
Okay.
that doesn't have to be an employee. You can go talk to your accountant, and maybe they have a bookkeeper that works from home once a week, and they can do some things for you, right? Maybe they can help do the billings and the cash receipts. They can keep track of the sales taxes and everything else, right? Now you can say, okay, I just bought 4 hours of my time a week. I can do more things now. Maybe I can work on the field more,
Okay.
right? Or I can do estimating, or I can buy more materials, right? Oh, Will got kicked out. I don't know why Will got kicked out.
Send it again, Will. All
Oh,
right.
Uva says turn the wife into the bookkeeper. I like that idea. All
I
right.
think he did that. He did that.
I
Yeah.
lost my wife
I'm trying to do
when
this.
I had
I'm trying to do the same over. Milo.
Yeah, no. Listen, good point. I think the subject is savings versus loans, and I believe this is as you're starting, best way to start a business. Yeah. Um, Look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think your best teachers are the ones that not necessarily succeeded in their own business, but the ones that actually failed at their business at a certain point. And I'm definitely one of those guys that I had a very successful career and very successful general construction company in between 2000 and 2010. But to everyone's point, I believe the most important part as you're going to begin your business, even before you think about incorporating and going that route, you need to take care of your own credit
Okay.
and you need to go after loans. You will not be able to survive without any loans, whether it's credit cards, either project, the hard money lenders out there, or they lend you money based on projects, or even your own supply house. It's very important that you start working on those relationships, start understanding what it takes. I think if you guys follow me, I posted something about revenue. I helped out a couple of people this week, and I'm waiting for them to confirm if they were successful on the on what I advised them. But I think if we're on the subject, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You are going to need loans. You cannot
Okay.
survive right from the beginning. Actually, even before you ink your corporation, you need to get ready. And what are those steps? I mean, I'll chime in. You either need to take care of your own credit. I know most of us that are entrepreneurs, our credit is questionable just because we're
Mm-hmm.
so much of a risk taker. So then you're going to have to hedge your relationships with family members that can trust you and believe in you, because you're going to need at some point a personal guarantee. If you don't know what that is, I urge you to Google that and understand what corporate credit means and what a personal guarantee is. And get your ducks in a row before you go down that route so you can be ready. And it all takes time. The other thing that I want to tell you is, believe it or not, I urge you to do business at a federal credit union.
Okay.
I know that most of you know that federal credit unions tend to be more for personal checking accounts, saving accounts, but there are credit unions that do allow business accounts. Why federal credit unions? Federal credit unions give you loans based on the relationship that you build with them. So they look at how much money goes into your account, and they look at the balance that's left on your closing statement.
Okay.
And that is very important The more balance that you have on that closing statement, the better. It doesn't matter that if it's on the 31st that it closes and the following day you use it all, who cares? It doesn't matter. The closing date is very important. And so I urge you to do the Federal Credit Union route. Certainly with the big
Okay.
banks, you can have multiple accounts, but focus more on placing your money with Federal Credit Unions. Those are the 2 points that I kind of want to touch on that. There are certain steps, and I'd be more than happy to share more details as far as what to take before you actually go into business. But you got to prepare yourself with in applying for business loans and credit lines.
Okay, so
Anyone
that
else?
then you will say that a loan will be better to start the business, Milo, on your opinion?
Well, look, I'm going to be honest with you. If you start a new business, you will not be able to get a loan, like an actual loan that you can pull money out, right? Until maybe 6 months down the road after you have some deposits going in. Because the way loans work is that they take an average of the last 3 bank statements,
Okay.
and they look at how many deposits you've had throughout those 3 months, and they also look at that closing date balance. And that's very important. So that's why I'm saying that it will take you about 6 months to a year to get an actual loan, including the SBA.
Okay.
What I do believe that you will get is credit lines with your supply house and business credit lines. American Express is very lenient. Okay. There are several other corporate credit cards. Home Depot, Lowe's is very lenient.
Okay.
Okay. You can definitely get a credit line or a charge card with them. But yes, I do believe that you have to go down the credit line
So
or the loan
okay.
path.
Let's hear what Mr. Will have to say
Um,
about this topic.
can I just add something real
Sure,
quick
yeah.
before?
Steve.
Okay, so Milo, when in my experience, when you do a personal guarantee, with the bank, sometimes they might say, "Hey, what assets do you have?" Well, I own my home, right? And you put up your home as a personal guarantee, and now let's say you say, oh, "Okay, now I got $50,000 as a credit line, as a line of credit," and let's say the business uh,
Do
doesn't
what?
make it.
Yeah.
Now, what they might be able to do is say, "Hey, you signed that personal guarantee, and
We're going for
your
your house.
your
Well,
house now is on that
well,
personal
of course.
We don't
guarantee."
want that
Well, no,
for
no, of
sure.
We don't
course. I mean,
want that, and I
but we're
think
in business. We're risk
we are.
takers, and so we got to hedge all that. We
We
got to
are.
hedge all that,
We're,
and there's definitely other means of getting credit lines without having to put up your home or
yeah.
even your vehicle,
So,
right?
so
But when you're a young business, you're going to scale up little by little. I mean,
little
if you're
by
going
little,
for the big
right?
pie right off the bat, I'm assuming you're going to have someone backing you up. But if you're just a guy that's starting out, that are maybe even doing a side
A
hustle at this
dreamer.
point,
It's a side hustle at first,
keep it as a side hustle until you can build it up until it makes more than what your regular income
right?
does. Obviously, we
Right.
know that.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's common sense to some degree, but for anyone out there listening, you don't have to give up your home.
Yeah.
There are different types of loans and credit cards and credit lines. First, build them up. Understand how personal guarantee works. Understand that if you don't have good credit, hedge your relationships with your friends or family that believe in you, and they will sign for you. Uh,
Okay.
do your homework.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're live here. We're limited on to what we can share. There are definitely certain steps that you need to take, but if we're providing you some guidelines,
For
maybe
sure.
this is it.
Thank
But there's a lot more to it than the simple conversation
thank you,
here.
Milo.
Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to hijack. Yeah.
That's a really good advice. Thank you, Steve. Mr. Will, what's up? How you did it? And it obviously worked. And if would you do it again the same way?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, no. What I love about this is because we're getting two different sides of the spectrum
Yes.
when it comes to when you start off the business.
The audio.
You already.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we can.
Now we
Yeah.
Okay. So what I appreciate about this is how we got both sides of the spectrum, and Milo touched on it a little. What I like to do when I start speaking with everybody, or when with my business advisor, for example, PBD, he asked everybody the same question: what are you solving for? Or in my terms, what I ask people is, what is success for you? What are we working towards? If you're looking to be the mom and pop to just do service calls where you don't need a loan, true or not, Milo, you don't need to go out the loan because you're just tackling service calls. But on the other side, if you're looking, like Milo said, you want that big prize, you want that big puzzle, you need that moving capital. You need to make relationships with supply houses to give you 30, 60, 90-day terms where you don't have to pay that material up front from day one. You got to leverage those things. So the first thing I like to say when I speak to anybody is like, what is their goal for the end of the year? Whatever they decide from that moment forward, it's reverse engineering. You figure out, okay, cool, this is where we want to be in 6, 9, 12 months. How do we get that and start working backwards? That'll dictate how much capital you're going to need, how much risk that's going to be involved. Or if you're going to play small, then that's fine. You're going to play small. But like Milo said, you're only going to get, what, 100 to 300 bucks per service call. You know, that's not big numbers, you know, so that's just going to delay your process and what you want to do. But like what Steve also said, everybody's different. Everyone has a different goal.
Yeah.
How I started off playing small until I started
Okay.
recognizing there's not many other players out there. And I'm like, oh, this is a cakewalk. Like, I don't know, Milo, right now, if you're, you know, the relationship with the contractors I'm working with over here. I'm in Louisiana this week and Mississippi doing work because there's no work. But I needed a loan to get out here just to get the contract, you know? But I have that ability now because I have those resources. Even if someone was given this opportunity to, like, a year one contractor, he couldn't make it out here because he can't front the expense for flying out, hotel, meals for me and my 3 crews, and then material until that contract signed. They can't, you know, it's very difficult. Like you would say, you would need your family to back you up to keep you afloat for at least 2-3 weeks before that first check hits. But when it hits, then you're okay. So
did you start with your own savings, Will? Or
no, I started on my own with no money.
With no money, you just jump in.
But I jumped in playing small service calls.
Okay.
I tackled. I was using Home Depot, and I was doing $100 service calls after work. I would do 2, 3, save $300, you know, and I kept my full-time job, and then that's how capital started rolling. You know, but the credit came in the first thing when I recognized when I had to start scaling, like what Milo was talking about. Once I was the guy who had EMT sticking out his passenger window because I can't keep showing up to jobs like this. I need to take that jump. And like Milo said, I had to. I'm lucky I was married at the time, and she had perfect credit. You know, and she was my personal guarantee that I was going to pay everything. You know, she was my backup. But if it wasn't for that, I would have still been playing small that whole time. But she was able to let me get the van. Now I had a more professional look. I felt more comfortable offering the next job, and then that's how slowly it grows. But it depends on what your goal is for the year and the speed and what you want to execute at. Those determine on how readily accessible and how fast you need that loan, or if you don't need a loan yet. Because even if you're just doing small scale, you don't want to be working from your car. Eventually you want a van. And I doubt someone's going to pay a brand new van 50 cash.
Nope.
You know? So, and even if you have 50 cash, you shouldn't be paying it on 50 cash. You know what I mean? You want to get some perks out of that. But yeah, it definitely depends on what you want to do for that first few years and at the speed you want to reach it at. Right now, as Milo can imagine, I'm living on credit right now. That's my baby for my 3 companies right now. I'm living on that thing. My cash is just sitting there. You know, for when I have to pay the bill at the end of the month. I'm on credit right now through Wahoo right now. But then also when I speak to PBD a lot, he said, your first business, that's where you wear many hats. Like what Steve said, in that first year, you're wearing many hats. Your second, third, fourth businesses that you open up, you're all on credit. That's when you start recognizing the game. But you can't live on credit when you first start off. So it's one of those things. It's a dance. What I do appreciate what Steve said was those first year you wear a lot of those hats. And I do like that phase. Like I'm in the beginning phase of our school now, like Milo knows, the beginning phases of my school. And without the credit right now, like Milo knows, I have to work for it. I need to sell myself. So I'm learning and developing the culture I want the school to have. So when it hits, then it's like, oh, I know every aspect of the job. I know every aspect of my business. So that's the fun part, because right now I'm building the company culture. All the guys who were on the phone till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, that's all going to be part of the company culture of all of us working together. But no, it definitely depends on where you're working towards.
Okay.
So I just
Absolutely. You know what?
I want to
One thing that I do want to point out.
Okay, go ahead, Neil.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to make a
All
comment.
right.
You know what? You know, like I know when I first started as an electrical contractor, I said, "Oh, I'm going to have 10 guys working for me, 10 trucks. I'm going to have a big warehouse. I'm going to do $5 million a year," and that was a bad thing for me to think about that, because I started buying a lot of stuff I didn't use, and I spent a lot of money I shouldn't have never spent. My suggestion is, you're going to start at 0. You want to get to 100. You're going to ramp up slowly, and you're going to learn from all the mistakes that you're making from 0 to 100. If you try to get there too fast, you're going to blow the engine.
Okay.
You're going to blow your transmission. And as you get busier and busier, and now, Will, buy back your time. I know I've heard you say that quite a few times.
Yeah.
You know, you look at what other people can do now to free up your time, that they can do things, you know, maybe not that expensively, and then you could make more money, and maybe look at maybe hiring, you know, the right people. That's a critical thing.
Yep.
But I suggest try to outsource the people that you don't need to get your workers' comp insurance. Because once you get workers' comp, it's a whole different game now, you know, with all of your insurances. You want to keep it as tight as you can. And maybe you hire a bookkeeper outsourced, right? Maybe you go to a temp agency if you need some extra labor, if that's permitted where you are located, and let them pay the workers' comp and the social security taxes, right? And this way, you know, I'm going to take this one job. It's a 3-month job. I can make $10,000 profit, but I'm not going to have that job after 3 months. But if you get all of the expensive insurances, now you got to keep on paying those expensive insurances, and you might not have the work. So I just want to say, go nice and slow, and you'll know where to go.
Okay.
Oh, I just made up that rhyme. Huh? How'd you like that one? Leave me alone.
That's a good one.
All right.
That's a good one. I got it.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, no, I have to say that yes. I mean, it's definitely it's an approach that you have to calculate, and it's like Will said, right? Where do you want to be at the end of the year, or maybe at a certain time? I'll tell you one thing, and this is my personal. It doesn't have to be yours, and I've experienced this from other people that have done the same thing. I started with a little $50 tile cutter, 1999 after the .com bust. You guys may be too young for that to remember, but literally overnight, unemployed. You know, it got a $50 tile cutter, and I was doing tiles at 1 o'clock in the morning, tired, on my knees, breaking my back, and I was like, only to make a couple of $100 at the end of the week, right? And to Will's point, I said, this is not it. This is not where I want to be at. This is not the guy I want to be at. And it didn't hit until I heard Jim Rohn. I don't know if any of you guys know who Jim Rohn is, right?
Of course. Yep.
Yeah. And write down your goal. When I wrote down my goal, I knew where that bullseye was at.
Yep.
And that's really what Will's point is right on target. Is you basically just start deconstructing, going backwards, how to achieve every day closer to that. And you're going to have to make some sacrifices. Now, what are those sacrifices? You're going to have to learn about 50% of the time, as opposed to what you're doing in the field, what it takes to get there. We're talking administrative, understanding loans, understanding steps, your contract law, right? Aside from your trade, I mean, you're proud of your trade. Keep doing that. That should come, second to nature. I mean, it should be right there. But the most challenging part is going to be getting out of your comfort zone and understanding the other dynamics of your business. And again, I keep going back. We can't tell you everything right here on this live, but you definitely have to do your homework, and you have to take those steps where you want to be at, one bit at a time, man, or one day at a time. But you have to take those steps. I can't stress that enough. I mean, it's just insane how much more information you need to capture to understand, and also use the relationships that you build out through there. I think you touched on a good subject. What kind of people do you use? Do you use a temp agency, other employees? Do you hire? Man, you know who were my saviors? Subcontractors.
Yeah.
They really put me up there, man. They made me who I am, and we all came up. So absolutely, don't be afraid to ask for help. That's another point.
Another
All
key
right.
thing, Milo, this happened to me. I hired some subcontractors, and I had the workers' comp insurance and, the liability and the disability and all the other, crazy insurances. And, when I got audited for workers' comp, they said, "Oh, where's the workers' comp certificate from the subcontractor?" Oh,
Yeah.
I call up the subcontractor. "Hey, I need a copy of your workers' comp policy." "Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll get that to you. I'll get that to you," right?
Yeah.
So, when I first started out, I wasn't aware of a lot of these things. I got nailed, right, because of that.
Yeah.
So you got to be real careful
Okay.
when you're hiring that subcontractor. Make sure that they got all of their insurances, obviously liability, workers' comp, disability. Talk to your insurance broker. Say, "Hey, listen, here's the certificates I got from the subcontractor. Can you check this out to make sure all of these insurance certificates are valid, that they're good?"
Okay.
Because when it comes time to get that insurance audit, those insurance auditors, man, they will nail you if there's
Yeah.
anything that's not absolutely perfect
For
with the
sure.
paperwork.
Another thing to have in consideration for this is when you're starting your own business on your first year. I was not thinking and didn't see it coming. The taxes expense that I had to pay. I was like surviving, and I end up like paying like $15,000, and I was like, how? How? If I'm just barely surviving. So I was not expecting that expense. So if anybody is like thinking on starting their own business, keep that in mind, right? I don't know if you guys have the same experience. What
Well,
happened?
Wow.
When I went first into business, I was terrified. I was always terrified about finances. Like one of my first big hires was a financial advisor, because my first year didn't make money, second year didn't make money, and third year I 10x, and I was terrified of how much money I made. First year I made because I was working on the side. Like I said, I was just doing side work, so I made like $4,000 a year that first year, because I was just doing one or two jobs. Like instead of doing overtime, I would do one job after hours. So it was just a little chump change. Second year I made like 150. No, third year it was 150. Second year it was like 75. I made my year salary in 6 months. Third year it was like 150, and then that next year right after that it was like 1.2. Then it went 2.4. So once that happened, I was terrified. I was like, I never saw this before. I freaked out. So after 3 years, that's when I started getting someone to manage all that for me, because I was always terrified of that finance side of things.
Yeah.
You have to pay a lot.
Absolutely.
and the more money you pay in taxes, that means that you're doing good, right?
Yeah, but
So
When I
I was
want to
not.
pull a loan now when I pull a loan, I got to make sure I'm in like what Milo said. I got to have a plus on that, because that first 3 years where everybody, and I think a lot of people get mistaken when they see that real estate stuff. They're like, you don't want to pay taxes.
Right.
You want a loan, you got to pay taxes,
Mhm.
because they're not going to give
You
you a loan
gotta
if you're
pay tax.
broke, you know?
Yeah. Now, please don't listen to those guys. I mean,
Everybody says
I don't.
that. You're like,
Yeah.
I
No.
got 5 rental properties and I don't need to pay taxes. Well, you can't
Nope.
get a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
You got to show income, guys. You gotta. Yeah. We're probably that's a whole different live, and it's probably going to be about 4 hours
Yeah.
long if we ever touch that subject. But yeah, you got to be careful. One way. I mean, the bottom line here is you got to understand credit lines. You got to understand your credit, and basically use that to your advantage. Seriously,
Okay.
it opens up the doors so much because you're ready for that next opportunity that will present itself.
yep,
Now keep that
exactly.
in mind. It
That's
will present itself.
that's what I was
It
telling
just,
about you. What
yeah,
Milo, what we were talking about, how this opportunity at New Orleans, Louisiana, and Mississippi. If I didn't have the means, I would have missed this.
Yeah.
And
yep,
then one guy, it would have been just the next guy would have been all ready for it and jumped right in and snatched it from me. You know.
Yeah. And you
But
have to figure out a way to
look at this guy.
accommodate that, right?
Wait a minute. Hey, what'd you
Dinner
get?
time.
Say again.
What'd you get for us, Tennessee? Is that Chinese takeout?
We got some steaks because we put on credit.
Oh, and credit. Okay.
Mr. Tennessee.
Yeah, Cameron.
All right.
yeah.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
everybody, for sharing your knowledge and your experiences. Thank you, Milo. I'm not sure if Instagram is gonna cut this after the hour, or we have only 60 minutes, or we don't get cut.
Oh, they closed it.
I guess there's only
You're
one
freezing
way.
up, Will.
There's only one way to find out.
Okay.
Only one way to find out.
At 60 minutes, I think Will left us for his delicious dinner.
Yeah, he's eating.
Thank you, Will. Milo. So anything else that you like to share before we leave? And everybody can follow Milo on his page. He's really good. We got a training, a solar training with him, and it was really good experience, and we learned a lot with you, Milo. I really appreciated that you took the time to come over to the Bay Area and give us that training.
Yeah, absolutely. No. I appreciate you guys for giving me the opportunity to get me out of my comfort zone, man. I had been thinking about it for so long, and you know what happened after the growth convention? Before the growth convention, I took it for granted that every electrician out there has been exposed to solar to some degree or another.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was there and I was talking to all of you, I realized, shit, man, I got a lot more work to do. So that's why I was really happy when you guys invited me up north, and I know I was more than happy to be up there and get that dialed in. We were talking about opportunities presenting themselves. There's definitely more of those coming your way for anyone that wants to attend. I'm working in Southern California, Texas, and Florida, where we're going to have pretty much duplicate the same thing that we did in NorCal with distributors.
Okay. Oh,
so,
wow. Nice.
Yeah, we got some distributors, and that I'm negotiating with that I'm going to bring the opportunity to energize us as a network for all of you.
Okay.
And hopefully there's an affiliate or some kind of discounted code for all of you. But not only are you going to be able to access the equipment, you're also going to access knowledgeable people that will walk you through everything. They will do the BOM list for you. I know you guys, most of you are not aware of certain parts. What does it take? They will literally put the BOM list together for you. If you don't have a guy that does your plant sets and understands solar, they're going to connect you with that. It's going to be an all-in-one package. It's basically a white glove service. And I think that's what the industry needs for newcomers in the industry. Now, for any of you electricians out there, like I stated up in the training, I would like to have you guys consider that if you're an electrician, stick to being an electrician. Don't be the guy on the roof slapping glass. You can always sub that out.
Okay.
You don't need to learn that. I'm just giving you a piece of advice. Maybe I'm a little bit ahead of myself. You need to be the guy that masters the tie-in, the guy that works down at the ground, that brings in the solar, connects the inverter and batteries. That's what we need most in the industry. Solar and glass guys, we call them glass guys because they just slap glass on the solar panels. you can find really good quality guys that you can sub out and they can do your solar in one day and they can do it right.
Okay.
So take that piece of advice. But thank you. I want to thank you for inviting me up north, and much more stuff coming your guys' way.
Thank you, Milo. I hope to see you again when you're ready to do another training here. You know, we're welcome you with the arms open.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Milo. Thank you, Steve.
All right, man.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
I appreciate
you
it.
for sharing. And Steve, you can follow Steve on electricaltime.com. He's my coach, Steve Cavalaris.
All right.
All right.
As long as we
and
got
Milo, it's Olim's Guide for the people.
Olim's Guide, yeah. Olim's Guide and olimsguide.com. Developing that website too. Yeah, more good stuff are coming your way, guys.
Right.
Believe me, I'm busy. So I'm even gonna consider doing an EPC here in SoCal, and then probably stretch out throughout the US as well. So excited.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Milo.
Right.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Will, for sharing some knowledge and for taking the time to speak with us. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Good night.